guys, so today's Friendsgiving with me and all my friends. I am going to be making a really nice meal today. I am in charge of cooking chicken and pork chops. And I have some ideas on how I want to do this in today's video. I'm thinking about a brown sugar, sweet and savory rub with a little bit of hot honey drizzle and a homemade marinated cranberry sauce in red wine. That is what I'm thinking about. We're going to see if that holds true throughout the end of the video. But this video is going to be a lot longer than our traditional videos. So hang tight, stay tuned. And this is a great meal that you can make any time of the year. You don't have to wait for Thanksgiving time or harvest season to make this meal. You can make it at any time. You can even make it for Christmas. Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and let's begin. I cannot wait to show you what I'm going to be cooking up today. Okay, so I have a bunch of ingredients that we're going to go over in today's video, but keep in mind that things may change throughout the video as we start to get more a hold of our taste palette. We're going to build as we go, essentially. So these are things that I think we might be using. We're going to be using hot honey. At least I think we're going to be using this. Get this at your local Aldi store. We have smoky brown sugar, which is a rub, what we're going to use. We have a sweet and savory dry rub. We're going to give all these a taste test to make sure they taste good before you commit 100%. All right? You can also get those two seasonings at Aldi's. We have ground cloves that we're going to use. We have cinnamon sugar. I'm kind of going from like a harvest, Christmas time style. We also have nutmeg, what we're going to use. You have some parsley. We'll be using Himalayan salt. You will be using garlic, black pepper as well. Those are the seasonings. We do have a side of cilantro we're going to be using. We do also have here a whole bundle of rosemary, which you get at your local BJ wholesale. We also do have here as well as a bundle of red onions. I don't know if we're using all these ingredients, but these are just ideas that I'm coming up with just to kind of spin some ideas. We also do have here some marinated that I did the other 3 weeks ago. Essentially, to make this, you just need to grab yourself a bag of cranberry and a red wine and pour it into this container. You can let it sit for about a week. That's not an issue. Just take a 1/4 cup of organic cane sugar or honey, whatever you prefer, but I use organic cane sugar because it's all natural, it's raw. And it also helps balance out some of the bitterness from the red wine and let it sit with the cranberry. This is going to be our red wine cranberry sauce production. That's what we're going with. That's going to be the sauce overall. But you're going to use 1/4 cup of sugar. You're just going to let it marinate for about a week before making this recipe. I did 3 weeks, but it's up to you, up to your preference. Anyway, we also need the meat, because apparently I forgot the meat. You're going to need some pork chop. Now you can do this either with pork chop or chicken or turkey. I just used one or the other because the turkey takes forever to cook. We got some big slice cut pork chops. We got here as well chicken breast. I was going to do this with an actual chicken, but there wasn't any good chicken I could use, so I'm using the breast instead. You can even make these recipe and do it with like wings and stuff like that. So this is very customizable recipe that I made. Getting this in one of these aluminum trays, it's easy. I don't have to transfer anything. It's just all in one area. So I'm going to be using one of these as well. All right, guys, let's go ahead. Let's make it. Let's start on the dry rub first. Let's get the flavor palette correct so we can move on. Okay, so now we're on to making our seasoning. We're going to try to give some of these seasonings a taste test a little bit, kind of see what flavors we're working with and how to incorporate it into a delicious meal for today. So we're going to start up with our smoky brown sugar. Okay, it smells really good. You can really smell it. It has a little bit of Cajun in it, so we're going to try to work with that. Try not to go overboard here because it does look like those big pieces of salt. Pretty good, actually. I would recommend. Oh. Ooh. Okay, so the rub is actually very spicy, so I got myself some brown sugar, organic brown sugar. We're going to also add that in because this is really, really spicy. A lot of my coworkers don't like a lot of spice, so we are going to mild this down by complementing it with some brown sugar. Okay, so now the next thing I want to try is just the sweet and savory dry rub. The reason why I'm trying them before I used it is because you don't want to commit to something and not know what it tastes like. So we're just going to give this a taste test first, just to see how it is, just so you know what we're working with. And everything else we're just going to incorporate as we were, because I know what everything else tastes like. Take a little spoon, this is good enough. Not a lot. This one's actually really good. This one's actually really good. It's not like bitter or spicy at all. Alright, so now we're going to start making our seasoning. We're just going to pour a whole bunch in. That'll take a good amount. Yeah, that's good. Okay, that looks like a good amount. Pretty decent. Okay, we're going to add in some of our brown sugar. Hopefully this is the one that's open. Yes, it is. We're going to be very careful, so we're just going to 15% of this, because this is like really spicy. We're going to be doing the same thing again for the chicken and the pork chop. So we want to make sure we have a lot left over. We're going to put in some ground cloves. We're going to add more of that harvest feel. Oh, that smells so good. That's good enough. We're going to use some of our cinnamon sugar. This is important. So we're going to use about half of this. We have some nutmeg. We're going to be using some of this as well. This is going to also help with our ability to make a really good, nice meal out of this. It's pretty chunky. That's pretty bad, actually. But that's pretty good overall. Okay. Well, we can always de-chunk it after. Not an issue. Alright, so we're also going to add in some parsley. So if you accidentally overdo the garlic, don't worry. Just by adding some parsley and it will help balance that part out. We're also going to be including some black pepper. Some granulated garlic. Now you guys can go over a little bit, it's not that big of an issue. It's going to be almost acting as a dry rub on the pork chop and the chicken. And then we also have ourselves some pink Himalayan salt. We don't want to do too much on the pink Himalayan salt because remember, there's already a lot of salt incorporated in a lot of the seasonings. So we don't want to go overboard or crazy here. And then we are also going to complement this dry rub with some pure cane light brown sugar. That's what we're going to be using. Pure cane light brown sugar by Baker's Corner. You can use any one you want. I'm just going to use this. You can get this at your local Aldi's. I think it only costs me like $1. We are going to use our 1/4 a cup of measuring spoon of brown sugar. One of these. We'll use another one. Do the same thing. I think we're going to do like 3 of them. Because remember, it's a dry rub. It's not really going to be on one chicken or one piece of pork. So it's not that big of an issue. If you accidentally overdo the measurements, it's not that big of a deal. Alright, so now that we have everything incorporated, we're just going to slowly mix it in until everything has been combined completely. So this is our dry rub. It smells phenomenal. I'm really excited to see what people are going to think about this tonight. Okay, so now the next thing we are going to do is we are going to turn this on. And we're going to put this on simmer. When this starts to get warmer and it starts to like really get hot or whatnot, we're going to start smashing it. But until then, we're going to let it stay whole and let it just start to break down naturally with the heat. All it is that you need to make this is red wine, 1/4 cup of sugar, about 3 scoops, and just the cranberries and the red wine. That's all you need to make this recipe. Okay, so now for the next phase of this, while the cranberry sauce is on the stove and it is starting to simmer, we're going to start our next process. And our next process is using this tin foil pan. We're going to put in some chicken. We're going to start to season each thigh nice and thoroughly to really get the flavor in there. And then we're going to lightly pour in some rosemary, some cilantro, and chopped red onion to be incorporated throughout the entire mixture. If you have some garlic cloves, by all means, throw some garlic cloves in here as well. And then, before you put it in the oven, we're going to sprinkle some brown sugar on top as well. Okay, so when dealing with chicken, you always want to make sure you clean your hands as you're dealing with the chicken itself. Now this chicken didn't cost me a lot. I bought this at Aldi's, $5. It's also the same brand that you can get at your local BJ's and Costco. We're just gonna sprinkle this on. The reason why I have a spoon here is so I don't contaminate everything with the seasoning and the chicken. Now you can either wash this chicken like some of you guys like to do. You can also just put it in the pan. Either way works. Just do what's based on your preference. And that's it. I'm going to slather the meat in with the seasoning. So you could do the same thing with an actual big burger. You could do this with the turkey seasoning. You could do this with anything. So this is a seasoning that you can use for anything that you like. Alright, that is how it should look in terms of seasoning. Okay, so now the next thing you're going to want to do is stir your sauce. You just want to make sure it doesn't burn. That's all you're looking for. We'll pop the lid back on, and we're done. We're going to continue the same steps as we did for the chicken. This was a little bit more expensive, about $12 at your local BJ's. I wouldn't buy from Aldi, they are quite expensive. Okay, so we're going to continue to stir our sauce, our cranberry sauce. We're going to leave the lid off now. The lid is going to allow the steam to leave and dissipate. Smells amazing so far. It smells like cranberry sauce. So now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to turn on our oven. And we are going to put it on 400. And we're going to put it on, we're going to put it on bake. So we're going to let this preheat for a little bit. And then once it's ready, we're going to pop the chicken and the pork chops in. Okay, so I just got done finished chopping my red onions. You don't have to be worried about being uniform completely. It's going to start to marinate into the pork chop and the chicken as well. So we're just going to incorporate this. Then you're just going to sprinkle it around. That's really all that we're doing. We're just sprinkling. It's going to caramelize as it gets roasted on top of the pork chops and the chicken. We're just going to pour this in. You get it on the bottom so all the flavor goes throughout. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to pour in our olive oil. Very little drizzle. You don't need that much. Good enough? And then we're going to put in our rosemary. We're just going to leave it as is. We're just going to pop a few in on each. Couple branches. This is going to allow us to have the food marinate with the olive oil. It's going to kind of create like a sauce on the bottom a little bit. And you can absolutely leave the rest later for some garnish if you want. And then we're going to top it off with a little bit of cilantro. You can either cut it up or you can just put it on. I'm going to actually cut it up pretty quickly. It's already pre-washed. Don't want to go overboard with the cilantro because not everybody likes cilantro, but it should hopefully balance out some of the bitterness that's in the dish itself. Don't worry about being perfect. It's going to get roasted by the oven because it's going to be open. It's going to be an open top. So don't go crazy about, making everything perfect and pretty. Don't worry about that. That's not really necessary. Okay, so now that we got a little bit of the cilantro and red onion in here, we're now going to sprinkle on the final part for this is some brown sugar to help glaze it all together. Use your best judgment when doing brown sugar. It's not as easy as it looks. I'm just gonna take my hand and just sprinkle it, because that's a lot easier. This is gonna allow it to caramelize and to create like a nice glaze on top of the pork chop and the chicken. And it's gonna balance the spiciness from the seasoning itself, which is perfectly fine. But if you like more spice, then add less sugar. That's basically all you have to do. My coworkers don't like spice, so I have to add a little bit more sugar than I would like. Okay, so as you can see for the pork chop, this is exactly what it looks like. It has some cilantro, rosemary, and brown sugar on top with some red onion. The same thing as well for the chicken. It looks the same, a little bit of olive oil drizzle to help start the cooking process. So on the bottom of these, I put some metal cooking trays. It's a lot easier to hold. We try to hold aluminum tin foil containers that tend to be very flimsy. This gives me a lot more sturdier, especially with the weight of the chicken and the pork chop. This is what you're going to want to use when putting it into your oven. It's easy to take in, easy to take out. Okay, so now the next part that we have to do is stir the cranberry sauce, and then we're going to give it a taste test to see if we need to add anything or is it completely okay. That's what we're going to find out right now. Okay, so as you can see, this is how it looks right now. The cranberry is starting to break down manually, so I guess we don't need to beat it. We're just going to let it reduce slowly on simmer, which is what we have it at. But we're just going to let it simmer. I'm going to give it a taste test right now and see if we need to season it. Okay, so I have my spoon. We're going to give it a taste test. Trying to see, this is what it looks like. The perfect amount of sweetness, the perfect amount of red wine reduction. Beautiful. Nope, nothing needs to be done for it. Leave it as is. I do also want to let you guys know I had to reduce the temperature to 300 so that nothing in here burned, because look how tightly closed everything is. So I lowered it temperature to 300 degrees Fahrenheit for cooking. Okay, so what you're going to need for when determining whether or not chicken or pork chop or any sort of meat is fully cooked, you want to go grab yourself a meat thermometer. This is going to really help tell you when things are at the proper temperature needed in order to be fully cooked thoroughly. Because we set the oven at 300 after putting it on 400, we're going to increase the temperature back to 400 so that we can increase the speeding process for cooking. So we're going to do that right now. Well, it turns out that there's a problem with the oven, and the oven is no longer cooking. Lovely. But you're going to use your meat thermometer. It's going to tell you whether or not something's cooked or not. Okay, so because the oven failed and is failing and doesn't work, the oven sucks. So right now, it's not really cooking in the oven. I'm just going to leave it in there until they arrive to kind of keep everything warm and hopefully cook it, but not as going as I planned. But again, hiccups happen, kitchen things happen. This is one of those scenarios. Right when we have to do Friendsgiving, the oven fails. So anyway, at least the stove part is working. So we do have our cranberry sauce. We're going to go ahead and take a look and see how that is. But in the meantime, we're going to have to wait until we get some help with cooking the pork chop and the chicken. Okay, so this is the consistency that you want. It's kind of almost like a jam almost. This is exactly what you're looking for. Now you can even like water it up by adding more red wine or reducing it a little bit with a little bit of heavy whipping cream if you want to make it more creamy. But this is what we're looking for.